Wellness means forgiving your mind, honoring your body, and living your most authentic life while understanding that you are not of this world. This is a journey, one that I am honored to be on with you. Welcome to my channel. And today we are talking about the tips and tricks for PMS pain. Very fun topic, not so fun to deal with, but a fun topic to experiment with. Everybody's body is different. Some things will work better versus other things. So I'm going to give you tips and tricks for general food and supplements that can or may not help with your time of the month, and a list of things that may not be helping you, so you can kind of trial and error what works best for you. So let's jump right in. I'm going to list the PMS symptoms that we're going to be going over as things that you may or may not go through. So the first one is the most obvious one, which is cramps. It's usually the worst. Some people suffer with really intense migraines. We are one of those people. So we have cramps, migraines, we have breast tenderness, we have digestive issues, bloating, and we have mood swings, irritability, and insomnia. We are definitely one of those people who find it really hard to sleep the first few days. So let's jump right in to some supplements that may be able to help with your time of the month. The first one is calcium. Calcium is really good at helping bloating and fatigue. It can also help with mood swings. How much calcium you take is really up to you and your doctor. Obviously, if you are deficient in anything, you would take something that's prescribed versus over the counter. The next supplement that you can take is B6. B6 is really good for mood swings and irritability. However, B6 is better absorbed through foods, and we will get to foods that provide you with a really good amount of nutrients and nutrition. And B6 is also... Magnesium is really good for mood swings, breast tenderness, and bloating, which would be for water retention, because most of the time bloating is a great deal of water retention, not just digestive issues. So magnesium is really good for helping with that. We find that magnesium really doesn't help our breast tenderness, but magnesium is really, especially like all types of magnesium, so good for your gut health and so good for your digestion. So we take magnesium all month long. So we usually find that digestive issues aren't a problem during our time of the month. But if magnesium isn't something that you take, or digestive problems are something you deal with, then definitely look into nice magnesium supplements. And the last supplement that we are going to get into is St. John's wort, which, if you haven't heard about it, it's an herb that's been going around lately that helps with depression as kind of an antidepressant, like a natural antidepressant. And for its use for PMS, obviously it's going to be good for mood swings, irritability, and that's because St. John's wort is really good at both. It boosts your neurotransmitters of serotonin and norepinephrine, which will definitely help your mood swings and your overall mood. It will probably help with your insomnia as well. So if that is a supplement that you're interested in trying or looking into, definitely, if you want another video getting more into what the St. John's wort is and how it came to be in the mental health industry, let me know. We're going to just move right along into foods that are really good to be consuming during your time of the month. So the first is water-rich fruit. So that is your berries, that is your melons. They're really good, not only for the antioxidant properties, but it's also really good because they're really high in water. And water intake is so important in general, but also for your time of the month. Like, this is the time where water is really important to be keeping up on while your body goes through its cycle. So it'll also help bloating if you are drinking water on top of filling up on water-rich foods. The next is leafy greens, and this is like kale and spinach. And these are really good for this time of the month because they're high in iron, like they're naturally high in iron. And iron is really good for combating fatigue, dizziness, and pain. Um, and most people have a low count of iron anyways. So if you are one of those people, especially during your time of the month who's low anyways, during your time of the month is when you're most iron deficient. So that's a time you definitely should be giving iron-rich foods to your body. And kale and spinach are definitely good ones to try. Chicken is another really good one during this time, and most people have cravings. So if chicken is one of them, definitely go for it because chicken is rich in protein and iron, and your body probably needs both. So definitely go for it with that. Fish is another one which has iron naturally, and fish also has omega-3s, and omega-3s are really good fatty acids that you should be consuming. Not necessarily just in fish, but omega-3s in general are really good for your overall fatty acid consumption. The next one is turmeric. Turmeric is the spice that's very common in wellness right now. It's a really good one. Some people drink it in tea. I don't like the taste of it in tea. I am more of a turmeric in my salads or general cooking for dinner as more of a spice and not a beverage. But turmeric is a really good one because turmeric is an anti-inflammatory, so it's really good for your muscles, which may help with your cramps. If it does or does not, up to your body, but it can be because it's so high in anti-inflammatory properties. The next is dark chocolate, and most women during this time crave chocolate anyways, or sweets. So definitely give your body dark chocolate if you are craving dark chocolate. Dark chocolate naturally has iron, has magnesium, and those are really great for combating cramps and bloating. So if that's a craving that you have during this time, yeah, definitely please indulge in some dark chocolate. It is, in fact, good for you. However, like getting really deep into like saturated fats and saturated sugar is like a whole different topic. No, just dark chocolate or even like dark milk chocolate mix or like adding dark chocolate to smoothies or oatmeal is like a really good way to incorporate some like natural sugar into your time of the month. The next one is nuts. Nuts in general, we usually go by the almond side because we just happen to like almonds. We think they're a really rich micronutrient, or they're full of rich micronutrients. But nuts in general have omega-3s, which we did already talk about, are important for your fatty acid intake and mood swings. So nuts would be another good one to be consuming during this time. Probably like a nice trail mix would be nice if it has like dark chocolate and nuts in it for you. It would probably be really filling during this time. The last food for thought or for suggestion is quinoa, which is more of a cooking food, or like not I definitely wouldn't classify it as a breakfast food. It would definitely be like a lunch type of food. I only have it for dinner and I mix it in with other things. But it is really rich in iron and protein and magnesium and all of those things that definitely help you during this time so naturally, and it's dense and it makes you fuller faster. So it's a really nice thing to be digesting during this time. So that is a wrap on tips for food. The next one we are going to do is tips in drinks during this time, before we get into things that may be preventing you from a painless or easy time of the month and things that you might avoid. So, drinks. Tea is the biggest thing that is pushed during this time. And I only drink tea during this time, and I'm definitely a very high caffeine person. But tea is really, really good at combating a lot of PMS symptoms. Peppermint is the biggest one because it's supposed to help specifically target cramps because it directly targets your digestion and your guts and its anti-inflammatory properties. And if you're wondering about that tea, I have a whole other video that's all about teas, but it doesn't even cover the amount of teas that are good for PMS, because there are teas that are directly for a woman's time of the month. A lot of them are like raspberry leaf, because raspberry leaf is supposed to be really good for a woman's time of the month. But peppermint tea is the biggest one. We find raspberry leaf helps us personally. We love peppermint tea anyways. Ginger tea is another one that's pushed because it's an anti-inflammatory, so it's supposed to relax your muscles. So it's gonna probably help your digestion and, you know, target your cramps. There's the two teas that are the most suggested during time of the month. However, we do get the special raspberry teas that we love so much, among other teas that we drink. But those are the two. If digestive issues are a big problem for you during this time, it's also suggested that you drink kombucha, because kombucha is good for your gut health and gut bacteria. And because this time might be really stressful and you might be holding on to a lot of bacteria and your stomach may be really upset and irritable, kombucha might be another really great one to be adding to your week diet, so to speak. So finding a really good kombucha that you like. All right, and lastly, we are going to talk about foods and drinks to avoid during this time. This might not be for everybody, but these are definitely the most widely recommended to avoid during this time if you're going through a lot of pain or you're trying to ease very specific symptoms. The first is your caffeine intake, your coffee intake. And the problem with that during this time is that it might lead to a lot of water retention, and it might lead to a lot of bloating, and it might make you fatigued faster. Like, it's kind of contradictory because most of us want caffeine in the morning, and I most certainly do. So we'll go for that, like green tea or that. Well, I drink matcha during the time, but usually it's like a coffee, and coffee during this time is not the most helpful, and it might further your cramps. And we've found that cutting out coffee definitely helps reduce cramping, but that's not the same for everybody. So that's definitely a trial and error type of thing. It's limiting your caffeine intake. The next one is limiting spicy food. And that's because it can really upset your digestive time during this time where your body is already so sensitive for the week. So spicy food might be kind of an irritable bowel problem. So that might be something that you have to identify. Red meat is another one that's highly recommended to avoid during this time. And in red meat, there is a word that I cannot pronounce. It's high in prostaglandins. I'm most likely pronouncing that wrong again. What it's high in is really, really high in causing woman cramps and upsetting your digestive issues. So ideally, red meat might be upsetting your time of the month further, so that for that week, that might have to be the week that red meat isn't the primarily protein-oriented meat that you eat that week. And the last one is salty food. And salty food, for the same thing kind of that I mentioned, is because salty food holds on to water retention and bloating, and salty food just makes you hungrier. And when you eat and consume a lot of salty food, you're probably going to end up wanting to consume a lot of processed sugar, and a lot of processed sugar is also really bad for your time of the month. It causes more headaches, migraines, cramps, and it is not helping give your body the nutrients that it is low on during this week. So usually it's a relax on the salty food. Even though, I mean, during this week, it's like all cravings are just let loose. So those are my tips and tricks for health-wise of consuming and not consuming things during your time of the month. If you want more videos like this, we can dive into more things about the anatomy of what's going on and hormones during your time of the month. I'm going to do a few videos coming up about hormones that are not PMS related, just hormones in general. I also left a link below for Elix Healing. Elix Healing is the company that helps us with our PMS pain. It is an oil that is catered to you, and they go through a really rigorous test system to figure out what herbs you should be taking and possible medicines that can help you. And you take it as much as it is recommended on the bottle, and it's helped us greatly and a very natural way to help your PMS pain. I didn't go into it in the video because we are not sponsored by them. They're great, but we are not sponsored by them. I didn't want to make the whole video about them, but I did leave a link below in case this sort of thing might be an ongoing problem for you and you want to check them out. So I will see you next time. Namaste.